All right, Gabrielle, I'm so happy to have you here. This is the first time we're going to do one of these videos where we're just kind of going back and forth about what it's like to live in our respective neighborhoods. So tell me who you are, where you work, just a bit about yourself.
Yep. My name's Gabrielle. I'm in the Houston area. And so I cover sort of central. Houston's really big. So I cover central, west, and north side of Houston. I've been in the business for 14 years. And yeah, that's pretty much it.
All right, so what do you love personally about living in Houston?
What I love two things most is the diversity. So we have a lot of people moving here from other countries, and so the people are super diverse. You get to meet people from all over the world, which is super cool. And also the food. So we have a huge food scene and it's super diverse. I know New York has a great food scene too, but we have a lot of food from all kinds of cultures, which is one of the big draws here. In fact, my last buyer relocated here from California, and his sole reason for moving here was for the food. That's why he came.
Wow,
Crazy, right?
that is pretty crazy. I mean, I've done I've planned some vacations based around food. I don't know that I've ever thought about relocating. But I mean, granted, I'm spoiled being in New York and in living in Queens specifically. But you said so there's a lot of people relocating from other countries. Like, what countries and like why do you think that is?
Well, mostly
Well,
it's
like
oil. There's
specifically
a
for
lot of
Houston.
oil and gas mostly. So we have a lot of people coming here for work with oil and gas. So they're here for a couple years and then they get, on the cycle and go somewhere else after a few years. So where a lot of, oh gosh, everywhere. France, Canada, Brazil, Mexico. Mexico's our biggest draw. We have a lot of people from Mexico, but oil and gas is all over. Norwegian, everything.
You
Yeah.
know that makes sense. I actually did. I had a client last year who was coming. I think he was in Syracuse. He's in oil and gas, but previously he had been in Houston. So he's one of those people that just gets, I guess those companies just kind of relocate you every few years and you just go with
Hmm.
the flow. It's got to be tough for the families though, right? Like your kids are finally making friends and you're in
Yeah.
school and then you just get picked up and dropped off somewhere else.
It can be. I've worked with lots of families and the kids are when they're young, it's really easy, and the older they get, the more challenging it becomes for sure. Yeah. Yeah.
So going back to the food scene, like what's if you had to give me your top three favorite places to eat, where would they be and why? I know it's a lot of
No,
pressure.
it's not at all. It's very simple. My favorite is probably the food. It's called Rumi's Kitchen. It's Persian food, and the food is phenomenal. Really, really good food. So it's one of my favorites. We also have a new, not new, but a couple year old development called Katy Asia Town, and it's this whole collection of Asian places. And so there's one place in there called Fat Eatery. It's like PHAT Eatery, and it's sort of like Malaysian street food. So that's another one of my favorites. And the pho is really good here. So I love that too. So there's tons of choices. And of course, Tex-Mex. I mean, you can't go wrong.
Yeah, it's like one of the things here, like or like just straight like I don't even know if there is any Tex-Mex locally here, but like good Mexican food. The problem in New York is you can find delicious Mexican food, but oftentimes it's like too restauranty, it's too chefed
Yeah.
up. It's like way more expensive than what you would think of when you think of Mexican food. That's one of the things I think that New York struggles with, which is odd. But I mean, we have so many other types of food. It's funny that you're bringing up the Asian cuisine. So where I live in Bayside, we're right next to Flushing, which actually has, I believe, the largest population of Chinese people next to China itself.
Oh
So
my gosh.
yeah, yeah. So we have a very large Asian influence here as well. The neighborhood used to there's a lot of Korean people that lived here as well. But yeah, very different. Like if I thought about favorite foods, like I'm not one of those people that's like I have my favorite restaurant. I just like lots of things for different reasons, but
Yeah.
definitely the top cuisines here, I would say are like for me at least is the Korean food is outstanding. There's so many great restaurants, Greek food. We have tons of Greek options in this area, like Northeast Queens, and I would say there's a decent amount of seafood options too, because where I am, we're close to Nassau County. There's a lot of great waterfront restaurants in Port Washington and areas like that, Bayville, if you go a little bit further out, and then on the South Shore too. So there's always a tremendous amount of eating options. Um, but let's talk about like lifestyle wise. If somebody were moving from New York into Houston, what's the biggest draw in terms of maybe like entertainment for, couples or families, things like that?
So coming from New York, you're probably the access to theater is really pronounced, and here we have a pretty good theater scene, but obviously not like New York. So if that's something you're used to, you still get access to really good options here in Houston. We've got several theaters that have rotational shows, so that's really good. Um, Probably what most people end up doing when they get here is shopping. Sadly, I mean, I say sadly, it's not my pastime, but there's huge, huge malls, and one of them is the Galleria. It's a big indoor mall. It's like many blocks. I don't even know how many. So shopping is a big deal, but also festivals. So our weather is super good most of the year. Like, I don't know, like three-quarters of the year, it's amazing. So, well, I guess that could be argued. It's pretty hot, but you can be outside if you're tough.
Like in the winter, what are we looking at temperature wise?
It depends. So it usually average is somewhere around 40, I'd say, in the winter, and summer is, 90. Yeah. So for entertainment then, is a lot of festivals. So we have a lot of outdoor things. Like the Greek festival is huge here. We have a couple of art festivals every year. Different cultures will have festivals, and you can go all over with those. So it's a really fun thing to do, and you'll find a lot of people at these.
That's cool. That's cool. What about like um any
Oh, and
cool
sports.
museums or sports? Oh, I'm sure sports
Yeah,
are
I
a big
mean,
deal.
yeah, we have the Texans, our football team, and then the Rockets are basketball, and then the Astros are baseball. So there's always sports, and then concerts are huge too because we have the stadiums there. And then we have a professional soccer league as well. So yeah, there's always sports happening as well. But yeah, museum scene is pretty good. And if you're into that vibe, there's the museum district is an actual section in Houston they're all kind of together. And so you can just kind of spend time. And I've done that before where you get a hotel room and then you just stay and go explore some of the museums for the weekend. It's fun.
Oh, it's a lot of fun.
Yeah.
And
What about you guys? What's your entertainment?
so it depends on what you like, right? So
Yeah.
the good thing about where I am is, and where I cover like North Shore, Long Island, Northeast Queens, we're on the Port Washington line for the Long Island Railroad. So there's great things to do out here. There's a lot of great restaurants. Personally, and I think many people would agree with me on this, if unless you're going to the beach, which we have access to a lot of beaches on Long Island. They're not as amazing as, the West Coast beaches or the Florida beaches, but they're beaches nonetheless.
Yeah.
But other than that, you're going into Manhattan. Like personally, I'm probably in Manhattan every single weekend. I'm a big stand-up comedy fan.
Okay.
So like all the time if I'm, you know, if I'm not doing anything, I'll shoot over to the West Village and go check out the Comedy Cellar because it's like one of those comedy clubs where, Chris Rock might just like show up and do a set or whoever.
Oh my
Like,
gosh, cool.
yeah, I was there a few months ago. I saw Ray Romano, who I,
Oh, wow.
yeah, I'm like, I don't really watch Everybody Loves Raymond. My mother's been like hounding me and like insisting for years that, oh, if you watch it, you'll like it, but I'm good. But he was pretty good, but like it's cool. And we have, the Museum of Modern Art. We have there's countless museums.
Yeah.
Like my favorite would probably be the Museum of Natural History. That's like since I was a little kid, it's like one of the more famous museums here where you walk in, there's dinosaurs resurrected, and there's a giant blue whale hanging from the ceiling, like life size. Like
Wow.
it's really great. They have an awesome Native American exhibit. There's actually another museum just of about the Native Americans. But I mean, we've got Broadway, we've got Central Park is one of the, I think one of the largest parks in the world, or in the country at least. And there's always things going on, festivals, all of that. Like it's personally, I'm enamored with the city because I've lived here my whole life and I still feel like a tourist every time I'm walking around
Yeah,
because like you could go and walk 5, 6 blocks and you're just in a completely different neighborhood. You're in a completely different like shifted mindset of the way that people act or like the attitudes and it's just so cool, I think.
that's good. Yeah, I love that.
Yeah, and I mean the food in Manhattan too. The only thing is it's super expensive. You know,
Yeah.
like everything is remarkably marked up. But what about like so speaking of prices, what's like the average and median home price in your area? Because I think
Yeah,
that's like where things are really
you're
gonna
gonna
differ.
laugh. I know it's kind of crazy. So I actually was looking at that yesterday because our numbers just came out. So the average sales price right now is 425 in Houston. Now, I will say, while that's average, you can get like for 425, you can get in, it's all about location, right? So in Houston, 425 is going to get you like a small townhome, probably 3-story with very little backyard, if any. You might get a decent townhome or condo, but once you get out to the suburbs, 425 will get you a proper single family house with, 3 bedrooms and a decent sized yard and not bad school district. So yeah, you can live comfortably for 425, although you'll commute in. Yeah.
Yeah, that's
And
crazy.
I know, tell me yours.
Well, before I get to our averages, I'll just tell you what 425 will
Tell me,
probably
yeah.
get you. It could probably get you a two-bedroom co-op, which is
Uh-huh.
an apartment where so co-ops are tricky. Are you familiar with them at all?
Personally, yeah, but you can share for those people who don't know.
So a co-op is basically an apartment that you can buy shares of the development. So you don't actually buy the apartment, you're buying shares of it. You have to go through a very long board application process. They ask you for so many letters of recommendation. They scrutinize all of your financials. It takes a long time. Like I have somebody doing one right now, and it's taking a very long time just to get the application complete. Then they have to go through the board approval process. You have to sit in front of the board. Nowadays, a lot of times they do it on Zoom. And then you have to wait, and it's a headache. But you're probably looking at maybe 600 square feet of living space, no yard, nothing like that, no amenities, just a home and a place to build equity because you can't find a house for
Yeah.
425. Like if you went way, 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 way out east, into Suffolk County, you might be able to find something that needs a full gut job that's very small for 425, but it's even that's shrink that inventory is really shrinking. But so Nassau County on a whole, the average sales price is 850 now.
Okay. And
And
what does that get you?
so 850, it really depends on the neighborhood, but figure under 2,000 square feet for the interior. Um, de really depends on the neighborhood, the school district, but you know, that could be a fixer-upper at that price, or it could be a decent home. Where I live, the average sales price for single-family homes is probably around like 1.2 million. And that will get you probably 1,600 square feet,
Oh
a
my
4,000 square foot lot, um, a decent house in okay condition at that price. Um, Probably needs updating. You're probably, if you want something fully updated, you're probably looking at like 1.5, 1.6. Um, But yeah, the prices here are crazy, and I know that's why there's a lot of people moving from New York out of state. Like last year, 60% of my seller clients were moving out of state,
Oh,
and
wow.
yeah, it's tough for first-time home buyers too, because something that's different here. I know in other states, a lot of times you can put down, $1,000, $5,000 for the earnest money. Here, most people, if you're putting less than 5% down, they won't even look at your offer.
Oh,
So you
interesting.
so you need a lot of cash. And but like on average, most people usually put down 10% at contract signing here. So it's, if you're low on cash, if you're getting an FHA loan and you're trying to take advantage of the putting down only 3.5%, you need a strong agent that can advocate for getting that accepted, because a lot of times sellers look at it and they're just like, but this person's putting down so much more. Like, sure,
Yeah.
I'm definitely going with that because they've got more skin in the game, it's safer. So it's tough out here. Yeah, it's
Yeah.
tough.
That's it. That's very interesting. Our market is 1% earnest money, pretty standard. Here and there, you'll get the odd seller who wants more, or in a competitive bidding situation, you may get more, but it's 1% down. And just for fun, um, 850 here inside the city can get you like a really nice single family home. I'm thinking of certain neighborhoods specifically, like the Heights. You can get a nice house for 850. You'll have a little yard, probably 6,000 square foot lot if you're lucky, but it'll be decent size, maybe 3,200 square feet. That would give you 850. And then in Katy, which is a suburb on the west side of Houston, where a lot of families will live because the schools are quite known for their academic success. So 850 there will get you like a 4,500 square foot house on
Oh.
a 15,000 square foot lot. Is probably recent construction, might even have a pool. Yeah, very different situation here. I mean, you'll drive 45 minutes to work maybe, but yeah, but you've got space to spread out.
So to
So
get
people are
those
looking at
specs for a house over here, you're probably looking at between 2.5 million, 3 million, something
yeah,
like that. Something
yeah,
like that. Yeah, and lot size is hard to come by. I mean,
for
it really is,
sure.
because then your taxes get so crazy. Like, you have some of these properties where you will see, the annual property tax being more than most Americans make in a year, sometimes exponentially more than
No
most
kidding.
America. Yeah, like
What's the
there's
tax rate typically there?
um I forget offhand. Um yeah, it's one of those things I always
Ours varies
space
by
on.
area, but it's usually somewhere between 2% to 3%, somewhere around there, which can feel like a lot of people that move here. This is one misnomer is when you come to Texas, you think because we don't have state income tax, right? So that
Mhm.
saves people already. But then the property tax is quite high. So when I moved here from Virginia, I was surprised at once I looked at the property tax, what I could afford versus what I could afford in Virginia Beach. It was really interesting because it's high for compared to other places, but not New York, I suppose.
Yeah, New York City, it's a little bit lower. I think it's under 1%. It gets a little higher when you get into Nassau County and Suffolk County and Long Island. But
Mm,
yeah, that the taxes are a big thing. But I think like it's going to catch up everywhere. Like the taxes are only going to go up
yeah.
everywhere. I know insurance policies are getting crazy, and everybody scrutinizes over everything. Like I know you guys have a lot of hail in
Get hail.
Houston.
Hurricanes are a bigger problem than hail, but we do get hail. Yeah.
Yeah, and I know like in California, agent I was talking to, they were telling me that the insurance companies are going out with drones and like flying over people's houses to check roofs to see
Wow.
like what condition they're in. Like we don't have that over here yet, thankfully. But it's like all of these trends that you see, like it's coming eventually.
Yeah,
Um,
it's insurance is a big problem here. I'll say that. A couple carriers just pulled out with the hurricane activity, we had. So it really tightened the market up last year. It's starting to open up a bit again, but it's expensive for sure. If the roof is old, it's sometimes problematic.
Yeah, no, like anything over 10 years now. It's like these roofs are supposed to last here, like the what they use with the architectural shingles are supposed to last 30 years, and then the insurance give you a hard time if it's 10 years. And it's like,
It's ridiculous.
yeah, like come on, it's a third. Like
Yeah,
you wouldn't give up on a human being if it was only a third of the way through its life. Like there's a lot
exactly.
more life to that, you know.
Yeah.
That roof could be, you know, very useful.
We drive our tires until they fall apart, yet, but still.
Yeah, well, if we just had like going back to weather, it was a good season for people in the tire business over here because we had that brutal stretch of winter. And what happened once, or before it even cleared, because it's like we got two, I wouldn't even call them big snowstorms because when I was growing up, we had way bigger storms and it snowed way more often, but it snowed twice. But it was so cold in New York this winter for so long. Like we had a stretch of like well, I think it was like almost 2 weeks where it was like around 10 degrees. So
Oh.
everything was just ice. So what happened, I know I'm like getting off the topic, but this is
No, but I
interesting.
remembered my friend was there during this, so she was telling me about it.
Yeah, but the what happened from that was that because it was so cold for so long, there was so much salt because we're really well equipped for the
Mhm.
snow typically. Um, all of that gets into the concrete, and we just had massive potholes
Oh,
everywhere. Like it's still like they're still working on them. Like it's still bad. I was watching videos. There's an Instagram account called the Long Island Wise Guy, and they just always like post or repost funny things that happen. And it was just like nothing but like people getting flat tire videos for like weeks
oh
because it was
no.
just so crazy. And I had a pretty scary thing happen to me. I was driving back from a listing appointment, and I don't know if this guy was like drunk driving or what it was. It was like 7 p.m. It's not even late, and like he almost drove into me. I had to swerve out of the way so he wouldn't hit me. And I don't know if I already had a nail in my tire or like I hit one as I swerved, but it caused me to, it popped a hole in my tire, which I didn't realize. I started fishtailing. So I'm
Yeah.
just like focusing on getting straightened back out. And I'm driving. I didn't realize I had a flat. I went a little bit further and some truck kept high beaming me. So I was like slowed down to see what he had to say, and told me I had a flat, which I didn't realize. I pulled over onto this very narrow shoulder, and oh, it was not a great experience.
Wow.
Yeah,
So speaking of driving, actually, so can you operate without a vehicle there? I mean, I know you're right on the,
definitely.
yeah.
So
So do
Long
most people
Island, you
have
can't.
cars? Yeah, well, right, yeah.
Yeah, like even for me, like I mean, being a realtor, you have to be able to drive. But like
Yeah.
my office is in Manhasset, and it's like a 20-minute drive. But it's also a 20-minute train ride because it's like right on that same train line I was talking about, and I'm like a 5-minute walk from the train. So yeah, it might even be less than 20 minutes to get there by train. Same train that'll take me to Penn Station in Manhattan in 25 minutes.
Nice.
So if it wasn't for me, you know, literally needing to drive for my career, like Queens especially, it's very like you could get by without a car. I wouldn't do it, but it's doable. You have everything nearby. There's so many places that are 24 hours. You know, it's one of those areas where you could find anything.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um,
Here you need a car for sure. And even more so, you probably need more than one. You need one for everybody in the family. There are people who have survived with one car. I had a friend who they relocated here from another country and they managed with one car, but it's not easy when everybody's working to drop everyone off. And because Houston is so spread out. So everybody should have a car. And then also, you need an easy tag to be able to get around all the loops because we have a couple of different loops. And if you don't have the easy tag, you have to take all the main crowded roads. And so
what
then you know,
so where are the loops?
so you've got the smaller inner circle, it's called 610, and then you have the Beltway, and then you have 99. And they said 99, what it's so big. It's like driving from here to Dallas and back or something. It's like this huge, huge loop around Houston. So that's the extra outer loop. Yeah. But
Yeah.
you need to have those tags. Otherwise, you have to go inside the city and without them, you're just spending way more time on the road.
Yeah, I'm sure nobody wants
Oh,
that.
no, we're already spending tons of time. I think we're like second behind LA in traffic or something like that.
Wow,
It's,
really?
yeah, I mean, I read that somewhere. I don't know if that was just someone complaining or if that's a legit statistic, but it's pretty bad here.
And LA traffic is brutal.
It's
It's like
next
11
level.
p.m. and you're still stuck in traffic.
Yeah, no, it is. It's brutal.
Speaking of
Yeah.
brutal, so I want to wrap this up on a funny note, or maybe
Okay.
it's funny, maybe not. I don't know. So, what's like your best real estate horror story? I didn't prepare you for this, but if you've got like a good juicy story,
Um, I'd say probably maybe I don't know, this could be horrific for me, but I had an approved showing and I went into the house and I was turning all the lights on, walking around, and I went into this, it was like a game room, I guess. And I went into the game room and there was someone asleep on the couch and the dog was barking. And it just, imagine waking up and some stranger is wandering through your house. And so I just shut everything down and left immediately. And they didn't wake up or anything, but we can carry guns here, right? And that's happened to a couple colleagues of mine that they went in, the showing was approved, they went in and people came out with a gun.
oh
It's
my God,
crazy. Yeah. So I was like, oh no. So I shut everything down and ran out the door real quick. So I mean, I guess it could be worse, but that's one. And then another one I'd say was like a like I flushed the toilet and then like water started going everywhere, and I was like, oh my God. So I
yeah,
called the listing agent. I was like, oh no, something happened to the toilet.
that's a nightmare.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh my
Anyway,
God.
what about you? What's your worst?
So it's fine. It's just like I forget what we were saying before, but made me think of this. This one's pretty bad. So I had this luxury listing once upon a time, like huge house, like 7,500 square feet inside, sitting on just over half an acre.
Oh,
It was, I thought, a beautiful house until I spent more time. So we're like one of those houses where the more time you spend there, you just start noticing like all the things that are wrong. Like they have these big, massive columns in the front, but I'm looking there's cracks in all of them. Like just everything, like the more you looked at it carefully, everything was falling apart. So it was a really challenging listing. And I had had it on the market for maybe 2 months. We had a bunch of showings. Nobody was making offers. Finally, we agreed to lower the price. So I schedule an open house, and this house is like up on this big hill, and it's like got this massive grand staircase to get up to the front door. So a lot of times, like the homeowners just use like the door by the garage, which is at the bottom of the driveway. So I go in, and I hadn't been inside the house in a week. The sellers didn't live in the property. And I walk in, and as soon as I get inside, so now I'm technically in the basement, and splash,
oh
splash. I'm
no.
like, what the hell is this? I walk further into the basement, all the floors wet. I'm like, no. I go upstairs, the ceiling collapsed. The whole ceiling's destroyed. The beautiful hardwood floors
Oh
destroyed.
no.
I go up to the next floor. That ceiling collapsed. And I'm like, oh my God, what is happening? And then I hear somebody ring the doorbell. I was just like, what do I
Not
do? I
today.
was like,
Not today.
oh my God. So I had to cancel the open house because I obviously couldn't show it that way.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, so I immediately called the sellers and they got it fixed within a week.
Oh
But
wow, that's
yeah,
impressive.
yeah,
Wow.
they got it fixed ASAP. But that was
Yeah.
they don't prepare you for that in
No,
the
what to do.
licensing exam.
Yeah, exactly what to do. Oh, that's cool. All right, good work. Good. All right, so what is your biggest piece of advice for people moving to New York from
People,
somewhere else?
I would say like know what you want. I mean, a lot of times people are moving when they're moving to New York, it's usually work related. Like that's why I get like a lot of like doctors and things like that move in, they're moving closer to the hospitals. So when you're picking a neighborhood, obviously you're thinking about commute time because that's probably one of the
Yeah.
most important things. But you have to think about what lifestyle you want because every neighborhood's going to give you something different. Every neighborhood, like I'm not going to get into politics, but every neighborhood has their, you know, preferred area in terms of those things. So, you're obviously going to want to do your due diligence ahead of time, and that might be doing things like joining Facebook groups because you can't ask certain things you can't ask your realtor about
Yeah.
because there's fair housing issues that come up with that. But it's really like, do you like going out to eat? Do you like having a larger space? Do you want to be in a busier place that's more of a city vibe? So I think that's really the advice I would give is like do your research, speak with a realtor in terms of like learning about lifestyle and things like that. What about you?
Um, Mostly here, I have to sort of educate a lot of people on um, two things. One is this similar thing is like lifestyle and and commute times because people think that it's, 30 miles equals 30 minutes and it does not equate to that. It's we judge everything here by time. So it's not really distance, but it's like, oh, Katie is like 50 minutes from Houston. It could be 35 miles, but that's the time it will take you. So you educate a lot of people coming in on that. And then the other thing is people want space or they don't want space. Like they want something smaller or compact, but you can't really find good quality small houses here. They don't really exist. The builders spend all of their money on grandiose. So I was working with a couple who was moving here from London, and they were like, "No, we want to be on the golf course, but we don't want that kind of a house." And I said, "Well, that's just what's on the golf course. If that's what you want where you want to live, you're going to have a big house and you'll just live downstairs." That's just how it works.
Get some
You can't find
tenants.
that. Yeah. So
Yep.
it's just like a learning curve, and then they finally get it.
It's
It's
awesome.
interesting. Yeah.
All right. So if people want to reach out to you to find out more about moving to Houston, what's the best way for them to contact you?
Well, I have a website. It's my name, GabrielleStrout.com. You can find me there. I'm on Instagram as well with my name. So yeah, either place. What about you?
I mean, Instagram is probably the best place. Eric Berman underscore RE. I'll have the links for both of our contact stuff in the details in YouTube. So if anybody wants to reach out, we'll make it easy for you. All right.
Yes, indeed. Yes, we're easy to find, I promise you.
Yeah.
All
All
right.
right.
Well, next time I'm in New York, I will take you up on your restaurant outings.
Oh,
I'll have to
you have
just
to.
where you recommend.
Awesome. Well, great seeing you
Thank
again
you.
this month. All right,
All right.
Gabrielle.
Talk to you
I'll talk to you
soon.
later.
All right.
All
Bye.
right.